Calgary Flames fans, it's time for Flames Unfiltered. Entertaining and controversial hockey talk with your host, Brad Burud.
Camp is open. The Flames are on the ice. Now, if we could just fast forward a week, then it'll be puck drop. Good evening and welcome to Flames Unfiltered, episode 83. I am the host of the show, Brad Burud. Good to have you with us. January 6th, 2021. It sounds crazy to say 2021, but that's what it is. And Happy New Year to all you Flames fans. Good to be back for another calendar year. We're into season 2 now, but good to be back for another calendar year. And the best news is we are just 1 week away from Calgary Flames and National Hockey League hockey. So that is great news. The World Junior Champion, it is the United States of America. Congratulations to them. That was quite a game we saw on Monday night or Tuesday night. I'm all mixed up on my days. I've been messed up since the holidays. Quite a game we saw on Tuesday night. U.S. wins a good one, 2-0. And World Juniors were a little bit of an appetizer for what lies ahead with the National Hockey League season coming up real quick. Great to see the Flames on the ice. Here on Monday, we saw the Saddle Dome ice was busy with Flames, and we saw some media members up top sending us pictures, and that was fun to see, and fun to see and hear from the players as media days are going now. And it's a lot of fun. We're talking line combinations already, and holy cow, you know what, in the next 10 days, how many times are we going to talk about line combinations? I know you guys have probably done yours and figured them out, and I've already done mine. I already wrote out my line combinations. I'm sure they'll change probably 15 more times before we drop the puck in Winnipeg next Thursday night. I don't like how the media seems isolated from the players. Well, they are isolated from the players. That's maybe holding back my excitement level a little bit. I don't know why it bothered me last year too during the bubble, but it is what it is. I'm good with it. We're getting hockey. And I think my anticipation and my excitement level will continue to rise and will really be really big next Wednesday night when we watch Toronto, Montreal, and this Canadian division gets going, and we have that excitement, and we know that Thursday night we're going to get to see our Calgary Flames play a regular season game, which we have not seen since the middle of March last year, which is crazy to think it's been that long. You know what? It's time to really sit down and really focus on what lies ahead for this Flames season. We've been talking and anticipating things all summer and all off season, and now that ends. Now we get to preview games. Now we get to talk about what has happened in games. And now it's really going to amp up the fun and be just over the top good. On this episode, it's all predictions. It's all speculation. I'll give you my North Division predictions along with some other various Flames predictions for the season. And then the fans will speak. I got 2 other Flames fans will join the show and discuss what they think the North Division will be like, who they think will win the North Division, and a few other fun Flames predictions that I had for the guys. Always good talking with the fans. And then we'll move on and discuss some Flames news from the North, and we wrap with a listener question on what Flames player is under the most pressure this season. There's more than one, but one really stands out in my mind. Sit back and enjoy. It's going to be a good one. Flames hockey right around the corner. All right, Flames fans, it is a prediction show, and they are one of my favorite shows of the year as we get to guess, speculate, and figure out who we think is going to win the North and how we think some of the Flames players are going to do this year. So let's get right to it, and let's talk about this Canadian division, the division that I've been pretty vocal about already in saying that I will not want to go away after this season's done. And that sounds crazy because, we haven't even played a game yet, but I feel that strongly that I think the rivalries will be that strong and that good that we're going to want to keep this format. I'm guessing all Canadian hockey fans are going to want to keep this format, not just because a Canadian team will automatically make it to the Final Four, but I think the intensity level is going to be off the charts. So who's going to win the North? Well, we'll get to that. I'm going to start with, let's go in reverse order. Who's going to finish last? And, I heard this week, many people say, well, the North is the weakest division. It is. It's just the weakest division. It's not. And here's why. And what they're forgetting is, I know the North doesn't have what I would consider an A-plus team that is a Stanley Cup favorite. Although some people are talking Toronto, but I'm not buying that. But they don't have that A-plus team. But here's something to argue back at those people. We don't have a horrible team. Yeah, they'll say, well, Ottawa. I wouldn't sleep on Ottawa this year. So, is it the horrible division? No, I think this is actually probably going to be the tightest division. I think it's going to be the most hotly contested top 4 playoff spots there is. Getting into this playoff is not going to be an easy task. Who will finish 7th? I think the Ottawa Senators will finish 7th. And I know, okay, all you guys are saying, well, Brad, that's easy pick. And you know what? It probably is. And it's probably the one I'll be most likely to get wrong, too. I think I got a better chance of getting the first place right than I do the last place. That's how tight this division is going to be. I think Ottawa's a lot better. I think what they've done this offseason has been very, very good. And I'm not sleeping in this Ottawa team. I think every time we play this Ottawa team, it's going to be a hell of a matchup and a hell of a game. But that being said, I still think they're a ways away. I don't trust Matt Murray in net. And as much as I like some of their acquisitions, there's a lot of work to be done in Ottawa. I think they're in the right direction, though. I really do. But I see them finishing 7th. Now, my 6th place team, I think a lot of you guys are going to freak out on me. But I think the Montreal Canadiens finish 6th. They still don't have scoring, you guys. They're still up the middle. I'm not buying it yet. I like some of their acquisitions. I freaked out and said this is the stupidest thing in the world when they signed Jake Allen. But now when I look back at it, I think it's a good signing. It gives them a 1-2 tandem that's going to be so critical this year, especially this year. And I look at that as a positive for this team. And I love their defense. I think Montreal's got a great defense. I just don't think that they have the firepower up front yet. And is it going to come? Yeah, I think I've been super ultra critical of Bergevin from the beginning. But I like what he's done here in the last couple of years. I do. I think they still finish 6th, though. And in 5th, oh, man, I hope my guys from the Oil Country podcast don't hear this and fire off. I know Kyle will be all over me for this one. And actually, I hope Kyle hears it. I like getting his blood pressure going. I got Edmonton in 5th. I still don't trust their goaltending. What they did offensively was better this year. I like it. And I somewhat like the Tyson Barrie ad. I don't think they're going to like it as much as they think now that Oscar Klefbom is out. I think the Barrie thing would have been good if they didn't have to depend on him so much. But now with Klefbom out, I'm afraid they're going to have to depend on Barrie a little bit more. And I don't think that's going to be a recipe for success in Edmonton. So that scares me a little bit. As for 4th, the final playoffs, I got the Winnipeg Jets in that 4th spot. And I think the Winnipeg Jets are the best goaltender in the conference, or not the conference. We don't have conferences anymore in the division. I think Connor Hellebuck is at the top of the level, as much as I believe Jacob Markstrom and Carey Price are right there too. I just think Right now, he's at the top of his game. Winnipeg, a lot of people have written them off. A lot of people think they're gone. They think they're on the downswing. A lot of people hate their defense. I think their defense probably overachieved last year. I really do. But I like the direction that Winnipeg is still going. I'm not writing them off yet. I think they're a good quality hockey team. If you have a healthy Scheifele and Wheeler, things are going to be good, and we'll see what happens with Patrick Laine. But as for now, he's in Winnipeg, and Patrick Laine is going to want to produce to either A, get moved, or B, get the contract he wants. I don't think that'll be in Winnipeg, though. But either way, I think he has a decent year, and I don't think he'll get traded this year. Now watch, he'll get traded tomorrow, but that's the way it goes. I see Winnipeg in fourth. As for third, my Vancouver Canucks fans, I told a couple of them that they're going to finish sixth or seventh just to piss them off and get them riled. But I got Vancouver in third. I think Vancouver's a good hockey team. They did pretty good considering they lost a top five goalie by replacing them with Braden Holtby and having Thatcher Demko there. I think they think that Thatcher Demko is probably a little bit better than he actually is. We haven't seen enough. He might be, but we haven't seen enough of Thatcher Demko to have a book on him. I think it's a great 1-2 punch, though. I do, and I think that's going to be good for Vancouver. The acquisition of Hamonic and Nate Schmidt is good and basically a lifesaver for Vancouver. Vancouver is offensively very gifted. They're going to have a hell of a time signing Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson at the end of the year, but that's a problem for in the future for them. Having them on ELCs is amazing for them. And this will probably be a good year for the Vancouver Canucks. As much as a lot of the critics and prediction guys and NHL guys out there are expecting a step back, I don't expect a step back. I don't expect a huge step up, though, either. I guess that would be the way I would describe it. The second place, no, I couldn't put them in first, but I got Calgary in second. And I think when you add a goaltender like Jacob Markstrom, that's a game changer. I like the addition of Tanev. They've shaken up the roster a little bit. I still worry a little bit about the Monahan-Gaudreau production. But as a whole, I have positive, good vibes on this Flames team heading into the season. To first place, I got the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's a couple of reasons why. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to have a really good year. I think Anderson's going to have a really, really good year in net. I'm not a huge fan of this team, and I'm not a huge fan of bringing in Thornton and all those guys, but I think it's time that these players are finally starting to get to the age where there's going to be a maturity level on this team. And I think they've realized in the last couple of years that just saying you're good and playing the part doesn't get you anywhere when it comes to the playoffs. And another early exit last year. This franchise knows that if this happens again this year, there's going to be huge shakeup, and they're not going to stand for that. So that being said, I don't know. I just feel like my gut tells me that this is a year that Toronto takes a step and wins the division. Now we'll get to playoff predictions when they get closer, but I'm going to predict that they don't come out of this division in the playoffs. I just don't, but I do think they'll win the division. We'll cruise through the next 5 here so we can get rolling into getting to the guests on the show. Flames leading scorer, I got Johnny Gaudreau. Yeah, I know I'm the biggest Johnny Gaudreau critic that is out there right now. And yes, I'm very frustrated with him. I do think, though, he will get a lot of assists this year and will score some goals. But I think he leads this team in points. We don't have that grade A scorer that's going to put up a ton of points. So I think Johnny Gaudreau is going to step into that. And he is in a contract year where there's going to be uncertainty of whether he gets moved during this season or if we try to re-sign him. So I think it'll be a good year for Johnny Gaudreau. Now my playoff prediction for him might be like my playoff prediction for the Maple Leafs, but I think he's our leading scorer at the end of the regular season. Biggest surprise player, Yusuf Alamaki. This guy is going to be off the charts. This guy's going to be good. I've been bragging this guy up the last couple weeks so much that I'm worried that I've raised my expectations to a level that are going to be unattainable. But you know what? I'm super pumped to see this guy. Biggest surprise player, or excuse me, I just said that. Biggest disappointment, Dylan Dubé. And it kills me kind of to say that because I like Dylan Dubé, and I think what he did in the playoffs last year was great. But what it did also was it raised the expectations of Flames fans way up. We can't forget that Dylan Dubé is still a young player in this league, and he's got a lot of maturing to do and a lot of steps to take to be a top 6 forward. So if we think that Dylan Dubé is just going to walk into the top 6 this year and put up a ton of production, I think we might be over inflating his expectations. And I think a lot of Flames fans have done that. And that being said, I think he will be a disappointment for a lot of Flames fans. I expect him to be a top 9 forward for the Flames team. And I think he's going to have a good year, especially if you see him on a line with Bennett centering him and Lucic. I like that line, and I think that will be a productive line for him. And if that line goes, they practice together today that way, but if that line goes into the regular season, that means could be good things for Dylan Dubé. What am I most scared about for this season? Plain and simple, 2 things. My biggest fear of all is a slow start. And another thing that I'm really afraid of is if Monahan and Gaudreau have another soft season offensively. That scares the crap out of me, because then the questions that we should have answered last offseason, and I pray that Treliving would answer last offseason, are going to haunt us in next year. And we're just going to kick this rock down the road a little bit further when I think we all know what we get from Johnny Gaudreau in the postseason. What excites me the most about this season? Well, besides Valimaki, which I've been bragging at, the second thing I'm going to talk the most about lately is the Canadian division. Nobody's going to call it the North Division. I'm not going to all year. I'll try for the show, but it's going to be the Canadian division. And I'm over the top pumped for that. I think it's going to be great. I think these games, or we're going to have 2-game sets, 3-game sets, we're going to fall in love with that as hockey fans too. And it's going to be really, really good. And it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be it's going to be really exciting. The rivalries will be off the charts, and I love it already, and it hasn't even started. But I think a lot of hockey fans are going to be like, this is so good. We have to keep this. I don't think that'll happen, but it's going to be good. So I'm most excited about that. Now, as for the Flames season, I have good positive thoughts. I look forward to this season. I think it's going to be good. I think it's critical we get off to a quick start, but good feelings from me coming into this season. I'm looking forward to it. Joining Flames Unfiltered now, my buddy Nate Thomas. He's been on the show before. He's back again. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on again. I wasn't sure if after last time I'd be able to come back on.
Oh, come on. We got to see, that's what's good about having Flames fans that, we agree on a lot of stuff, but then there's stuff that it's like, well, I disagree on with this player and this player. And that's what it's about though. That's about the banter going back and forth. That's what's fun.
Oh yeah. It's always good.
Well, we're about, a week away from NHL hockey, a little over a week. Next Thursday night, we drop the puck, and I cannot wait. It's going to be so fun. And I don't know what you think, but I am over the top excited about this Canadian division. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. As soon as the idea came up, I was really excited for it, because as much there's only 7 teams obviously in Canada, but you never have those rivalries, say between Calgary and Toronto or Vancouver and Montreal, really, unless they were to meet up in the Stanley Cup final. And obviously that happened in however many years. So I just saw it as a way to create new rivalries in this country alone. Canadian fans are always going back and forth as well with each other. With the Flames and Leafs, right? But we only play each other 2 times a year.
Well, there's so many Leafs fans. Yeah. There's so many Leafs fans and Canadians fans spread throughout the country of Canada. And, it's always funny. When I look at the schedule and it's like, oh, we got Montreal next week, and we got, I always get up for those games. I talk like I'm playing. I always get up for those games more than if I looked at the calendar and was like, oh, we're at the Islanders Tuesday night and Florida Wednesday night. And do you know what I'm saying? It's something about just the Canadian matchup. So when I heard about this Canadian division, I was like, I hope this goes over so well they don't change it ever. I don't think we'll get that lucky, but it's going to be fun. But here lies the problem. I tried to do my predictions for the North Division, and it's not easy. This is a division where I don't think there's a lot of A+ teams, but there's a lot of it's just anybody can beat anybody, honestly. And so I put together 6 questions for you, and we'll go through them quick because the World Junior Gold Medal game is going to drop the puck here in a minute, and we want to watch that. So let's roll through them quick. Let's start with that North Division. Where are your predictions on the North Division? Because I'm dying to hear this.
Oh, see, now an easier question is who do I think would not make the playoffs?
Okay.
So to look at it that way, I said Ottawa, Montreal, and Winnipeg would be the teams to not make it.
Okay.
I think Montreal is going to be that team just on the outside looking in. I do like a lot of the moves they made.
Oh, I did too.
Especially in regards to bringing in Jake Allen. I know that was kind of a move that was a little curious for a lot of people at the beginning there.
I thought it was stupid initially.
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was stupid. And then I thought more about it, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't that stupid.
We'll take a look at last year's play-in round even, right? And then going to the first round of the playoffs, and you have arrested Carey Price, and look what he can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he tried to drag that Montreal team kicking and screaming through as far as the playoffs as he could.
Who had no business?
Exactly.
That team had no business.
So
they didn't. They have it. And they are a better team this year. And I agree with you. They've done a lot, but I have them out of the playoffs too. But I think they're going to be good. And like I look at Ottawa too, and I agree with you. I have them out too. But man, I don't think Ottawa's going to be a walk in the park. I really don't.
Yeah, they've made a lot of great additions as well, and guys like Tkachuk are another year older and another year into it, and they're ready to go as much as everybody else is, especially considering the fact that, say, for a team like Ottawa, they've not played since March.
Yeah,
they are fired up as much as anybody can be.
Absolutely. So who do you have winning the division?
Winning the division, if I had to put money on it, I'd say Toronto.
I did too, and it slightly pained me to do that. But I think that this Toronto team has kind of muddled in mediocrity for long enough where I think this is their chance. They don't have Boston to tinker with all year, and I think they'll win the division. Who do you have second?
Second and third can be a bit of a toss-up. I'll say between Calgary and Edmonton, that Battle of Alberta there.
Okay.
So I've, just the Flames have made some awesome moves, especially in the goaltending department. I know we talked about that last time, and me being excited about Jacob Markstrom.
Oh, I can't wait.
But, Edmonton's made a couple things as well just to kind of solidify themselves. The one area that I'm not so sure about still is that goaltending. Just because, Mike Smith was definitely not their first choice to come back.
No.
I laughed out loud reading that they were in on Thomas Greiss for the longest time, and Detroit came in with $100,000 more for the exact same term. And that's how it went.
That's just, yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
But same as what we were talking about with Carey Price and Montreal, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl will drag that team as far as they can, kicking and screaming as well.
And so you have Vancouver in that 4th slot, making the playoffs. I'm pretty similar to you. I have Toronto first. I have Calgary second. I have Vancouver third. As much as I think they're going to suffer a little bit in goaltending, I think they kind of shored up their defense. Actually, their defense is better now. And then I still like their young forwards. I think they got a couple things, depth issues, but overall, I think that's a pretty good hockey team. And I think they finished third. I think Winnipeg finishes fourth, and believe it or not, as much as I want a Battle of Alberta, I've got Edmonton in fifth, and that's just because of their goaltending. I don't have any other way to describe that other than I think this division is going to be tight. I think it's going to be off the charts exciting. So, it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be a massive point spread, even between first and last, like first and seventh. It could maybe be 10 points, 15 points at most. So it's going to be close.
Well, if you do the math off how these teams did last year, Look at the standings. You'll be like,
Yeah, exactly.
Next question. Flames leading scorer. Who do you have?
I mean, I think a safe choice could be Matthew Tkachuk. Just rolling off of the year he had last year even. But I do have a feeling it could be Elias Lindholm, just for the fact that he's going to be centering, it looks like, his own first line this coming season.
Yeah, I know. I thought both of those guys too, and I almost wrote both of those guys down. I think Matthew Tkachuk's going to be huge this year. That guy gets up for big games, and I agree with you. I think he's going to have a great year. I don't know if he's our leading scorer. Are you a little worried? Because I look at him as kind of not so much of a point getter, but like a complete guy that can put up points. And I don't know. It'd be cool to see him. I love watching him play, and I hope he can stay free of injuries this year. And yeah, he's definitely going to be an integral part of this team.
Another complete guy, though, that the Flames had, Drew McGinley.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure. No, I agree with you. Biggest surprise this year. Who do you have?
Biggest surprise. I actually said Johnny Gaudreau, just with, the kind of meh season he had last year. I mean, it wasn't a terrible season, but when you're coming off of 99 points and dropping down to, 58 or something like that, he is looking for that bounce back season. And, especially maybe to shut up some trade rumors and some certain reporters, broadcasters.
And me, because I've been ultra critical of Johnny Gaudreau, but I want you to know, I actually have him penciled in as the Flames leading scorer this year. Lightning was going to strike me when I did that, but I just think that now I don't think he'll be good in the playoffs again, but I think that I think money's going to be an issue this year. He's going to have to prove his worth, and there's a reason to play this year, and Johnny will put up some points this year.
Yeah, I would just really like him to shut up a certain reporter that rhymes with Raris Panson or Pansis. So,
you know what though? Like, as much as I know there's a lot of Johnny Gaudreau lovers in Calgary, and there should be. If you've watched him play, though, you've got to see his demeanor has changed as his career has went, and it scares me. I don't see that push that he wants to win a Stanley Cup, and that's just my opinion. And I mean, I'm not sitting there talking to him, and I don't know. We'll see. But I did pencil him in as our leading scorer, and he better not prove me wrong on that.
I think that's a solid pick. Also, I thought about it for a little while.
Yeah. Biggest disappointment player this year?
I didn't necessarily pick a player. This is more going to be a team thing.
Okay.
The disappointment would be to miss the playoffs, especially considering the acquisitions that we made this year and even the progress over the last couple.
Yeah.
Even the progress off of last year, like I'll take game 6 to Dallas or game 7, whichever it was. I actually can't remember off the top of my head. Over 5 basically a sweep of Colorado.
Yeah. I had Dylan Dubé, and the only reason I say that is I don't think Dylan Dubé is going to be a flop this year. I just think his expectations went through the roof now for this year. His playoff performance was good last year, and everybody took note of that, and now everybody expects him to replicate that. And I think it's going to be tough. He's still a young player. I think he's going to be a good player for us over the years. I just kind of look at when we wrap this year up, I think his numbers will be down a little bit and be a little bit less than what a lot of people are thinking.
I can see the playoffs being a bit more kind of a consistent type thing in a year or two.
Yep.
So. Yep,
it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yep.
What are you the most scared about this season?
The most scared, I gotta say a slow start with a 56 game season. Slow start is not going to help us because, normally you get to November and that's when you kind of have an idea of who's going to make the playoffs. But with this short a season, it's going to be by Valentine's Day that you're going to know who's in the playoffs.
I know.
So.
Well, you definitely got to get off to a hot start. I mean, I look at like Buffalo in the last couple of years. They always get off to hot starts and then just peter out. Maybe this is the year Buffalo makes the playoffs because they can maybe get off to a hot start. And it's going to be it's easier when you're ahead of the game to not get, caught. But when you're behind, it's going to be a tall task if Calgary gets, into a 1-6 start, and, man, would that be a tough hill to climb out of.
Oh, absolutely. We can't afford that.
My biggest fear was Monahan Godreau lack of production. Scares me.
See, I'm not as worried about that this year, just because I think their offensive roles are going to be limited a little bit more. Probably going to be second line type guys, and I think they'll be able to produce just that little bit more, actually.
Yeah. When you look at this season, and I know we're all just excited to get back to hockey and to watch hockey and regular season hockey at that. What excites you the most about the season beside the fact that we're getting back to
it? I mean, that was going to be my answer, but player-wise, come on, you know me, goalie guy, Jacob Markstrom, even the tandem of Jacob Markstrom and David Riddick. We've seen what David Riddick can do, I think, in small amounts.
Yes.
When he's given the reins for over 40 games, that's when, things unfortunately started to unravel a little bit, whether it was injuries or whatever. But a player like Jacob Markstrom, who can take a majority of games, even if we were playing a full 82 game season. But I think this tandem is going to do really well, not just for the Flames, but for each other as well.
I think so too. I agree with you completely. And it's been a long time in Calgary since we can say, hey, I know who's starting tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
And this year, I think we're going to see Jacob Markstrom start quite a few games. And I think he's a guy that we can really rely on. And what that'll also do too is give us confidence up front. And, having that big time goalie like that can create offense sometimes too. And hopefully it helps the team as a whole. And I'm so excited for so many things. I think, top of my list, I can't wait to watch Yusuf Alamaki this year.
It's going to be good.
I cannot.
Highlights from overseas there. Oh, I am so ready for it.
I mean, I know that's not the NHL, and I know it's not going to be that easy, but man, oh man, this guy's upside is so big. So big.
Yeah.
Well, it was, we tried to keep it in 15 and we did it. That's the first time me and you have ever talked and kept it short. But yeah, we need to watch some hockey tonight, and I'm excited for the gold medal game, as I know you are. Calgary Flames hockey just over a week away. We hope to have Nate join the show multiple times this year. I hope you're able and willing to do so. You can check him out on the Hockey Podcast Network. Covering the Anaheim Ducks, called the Quack Report. It is top notch. You can get that in video now too, right?
Yes, you can. So we actually do live streams every Sunday at 12 Pacific.
Wow. Okay. Definitely check that out. They're usually in our division. We usually get to come down and visit and play. Hey, we hate going to Anaheim. Golly, I still hate it. I'm always going to hate it to the end of time.
As much as I cover the team as a Flames fan, yeah, I'm still not a fan of it.
You guys do a good job with that podcast. And also check out the Hockey Podcast Network. They do great stuff there. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy the gold medal game tonight, and enjoy the Flames hockey just starting here soon. And don't be a stranger.
Absolutely will not be. And thanks for having me on again, Brad.
You bet. Joining Flames Unfiltered now, Dylan Simpson joins the show, a longtime Flames fan. And we're going to pick his brain a little bit today on what he thinks will happen in this exciting 2021 season. That the puck drops Wednesday night, Thursday night for Calgary. So we're just getting days away. Thanks for joining me on the show today.
Oh, I'm excited, man. Hockey's coming up,
Yeah, we it seems like it's been forever and ever and ever and ever. So yeah, it's good to
I mean, those World Juniors are pretty great though.
Yeah, it was a good tournament.
The result wasn't that great, but
Yeah, well, it was a good game though. And last night's was definitely a good game. And now we get to talk Calgary hockey and get what we've been waiting for a long time. It seems like 3 years ago we lost to Dallas in the first round, and time for a little redemption. So
absolutely.
This year the script is flipped, and we have new divisions, and we have a new North division, which I'm personally super excited for. How do you see the North division shaking out, and what are your predictions for the North division?
Well, it's kind of hard to say exactly how everything's so tight. I kind of came up with a couple of different ones that isn't just what everybody's saying about how it's too tight. So I'm going to start off just saying I don't think Ottawa's going to be at the bottom. They're not going to be in a playoff spot, but they're not going to be at the bottom.
I don't think I don't know. I go back and forth on that. I have them penciled in at the bottom, but I don't think they're going to be a walk in the park by any means.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that is because I think they're going to see a lot of opponents' backups or third strings, and they're going to be overlooked. And that is a recipe for a lot of losses for the favorite team.
Sure. So you have who do you have in seventh then?
Seventh, it honestly either it's hard to look at Edmonton's goaltending and say that they're going to be able to outscore, everyone, and everyone else got better except for them. in my opinion, they got a little deeper down the middle, but that's about it. And
they have added two defensemen. They lost Clefbaum though, so I mean that might be a wash. But I think the addition of Kyle Turris is definitely not going to hurt. And
that's a really good third line center.
I don't mind. I don't hate what Edmonton did. If Edmonton could have solidified a goaltender, I think everybody would view Edmonton as a complete success this year. So,
well, and that's the thing. It's tight, right? It's hard to say. Like it could be Ottawa, could be Edmonton, could be Montreal's really the only other one that's not, in my opinion. Like they're getting way better, but they're not quite as strong as the rest of the division, I think.
And that's who I have as my bottom three. I have Edmonton 5, Montreal 6, and Ottawa 7th. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tight. I mean, I don't know that we're not 4 to 6 points away from from second to sixth. It could be that tight.
So this is what I actually wrote down, because you sent me these questions yesterday or the day before. I actually had written down that Calgary, Vancouver, Toronto, they'll all be within 5 points of each other, and there will be one regular season win tiebreaker between the three.
Yeah. It's going to be tight. I really think it's tight. So you have those two kind of 1, 2, 3, and you got Winnipeg.
Yeah. Winnipeg probably 4, maybe 5, but probably 4.
Yeah. I think Winnipeg makes the playoffs. I like this team, and they definitely have probably, arguably the best goaltender in the division. So, I think Winnipeg's gonna get a playoff spot. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be extremely, extremely tight, and it's going to be right down to that final weekend, I think. Let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk leading scorers. Who do you think the Flames' leading scorer will be this year?
I think that Tkachuk is going to get more offensive starts. I don't think he's going to be playing the defensive role with Backlund anymore. I think he's going to start being more of an offensive start type of a player, and I think he's going to go just above a point a game. And I'm saying he's going to miss a couple because of the style he plays, so I'm saying 56 points in 52 games.
Wow. Okay. No, yeah. I think that's possible. I agree with you. I think he'll get some more offensive opportunities. I worry a little bit that because of his style, is more of a banger, I guess, but definitely has the talent and definitely has the hockey sense to put up a good number of points this year. I had Johnny Gaudreau, believe it or not. I'm an anti-Johnny Gaudreau guy, and I have been since he's let us down 2 playoffs in a row, but I don't know. I definitely won't pick him as our leading scorer in the playoffs, but I'll give him the nod in the regular season.
Yeah, he's going to be a really close second, I think.
Yeah. As for the biggest surprise player, who do you have penciled in as our biggest surprise this year in Calgary? Dylan Dubé. Huh? You're going to love my answer on the next question.
I've heard your podcast last week.
I worry a little bit about Dylan Dubé. I think he's going to be okay this year. I just don't think. I think Flames fans' expectations are just really high for him, which is not a bad thing. I just think for him to live up to that's going to be a tall task.
I kind of agree on that, and that's because everybody's like, we're missing either a first line center or winger, and there's a lot of people who think, maybe he can make that step. He's not ready for that. I think he's probably going to earn himself a top 6 role. He'll start in the bottom 6, but he'll earn himself a top 6 role, and I think he'll probably stay on that right wing, maybe left wing, depending on how the roster shakes out. But that's kind of where I have him pegged.
Today he skated with Bennett at center and Lucic on the left side, and that's a line that was good in the playoffs, and I think it's a line we'll probably start the season off with. Hopefully, I like that line, so I think his chances of having a successful year go up if that's who his line mates are. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Who do you have as your biggest disappointment?
Going to catch a lot of flack for this one. I just think Hanifin is going to fail to take the next step that he continue like he has. He just has. He's a good defenseman, but I think everybody thinks he's way better than he is. He's good at everything, but he's not great at anything.
But isn't what we want? I mean, I'm good with that. I need a guy that's serviceable like that. There is a ton of Noah Hanifin critics, and at times I find myself maybe riding the bus with those people. But the way I shake out with Noah Hanifin is this, that many people forget he's only 23.
I know. No, I know. He's played how many games, though? Is it almost 400 or almost 300? Almost 400, I think.
Yeah, he's way ahead of the average player at that age for games.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something to think about too, right? He's young. He still has lots of room to grow, but I think what we see with him now is what we get, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just think everybody's pegging him to be our next Giordano or whatever, and I just don't think he has that in him. So he's going to disappoint a lot of people.
I think we have our next Giordano. His name's Juuso Välimäki.
And that's what I have here, actually, is Hanifin will fail to take the next step, and Välimäki will pass him on the depth chart.
Yeah, but I look at our defensemen, I think one thing is going to be different this year in Calgary. I don't think we're going to rely on Giordano like we have in the past, and I think that's a good thing. And I don't think we're going to have a 1 pairing, a 2 pairing, and a 3 pairing. I think what we're going to have is interchangeable pairings where we're going to find partners that work well together, and they're going to share the minutes and share some of those difficult situations, because all 3 of them are going to have players that are capable. When you add a Tanev to an Anderson, a Giordano, a Hanifin, a Välimäki, I'm forgetting one guy too, and that would be like a Shillington, or I don't know if he's going to be in that 6th spot. We'll see. I don't look at it as, a 1, 2, 3. I just think it's a good depth, and I think that's what really I look forward to this year with Calgary. Is I think our defensively, on paper, we look pretty good.
Yeah, I think we've got about depending on how Välimäki kind of progresses and see how he does. I think he's going to fit that top 4 pretty good, and I think our top 4 is going to be just that, a top 4, not a 1 or a 2, but a top 4 that can both play about the same amount of minutes and can be kind of juggled a little bit as well and be comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's definitely a strength that we have this year.
Absolutely.
What are you the most scared about as we head into this new season?
Okay. I am scared that the prospects aren't going to get, because of all the depth we've signed, they're not going to get the chance that they have earned and deserved for a while. And I know you, I think you were saying Glenn Godden was next up, and there's just no room. And Peltier after his performance in the juniors and
he's not ready though.
I don't think he's ready to hop up, but that's just one of the guys I have down now, and Adam Ruzicka, and just
it's a double-edged sword. I see what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree. I just look at usually prospects aren't taking a whole lot of roster spots unless you suck.
That's true, and we do have the NHL depth.
I don't want to suck, so
yeah.
It's going to take a real performance, just like it did for Dylan Dubé to step in. It takes some time, and I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. Now it's going to get a little shaky and a little scary this year with the way the American Hockey League is going to be and the way the CHL is going to be, if at all. So that is going to be a little shaky and a little scary, but I look at it as I would be scared if we went into camp saying, well, we got 2 spots open.
Yeah.
Because then that means that we didn't do our job and get the depth that we need.
Yeah. I don't think we have any spots open. I think, honestly, the only spot we have open is not fillable by any of our players, and that's either a first-line winger or center. And it's not really fillable by any of our players unless, you have Johnny or Matt going on the right wing. I think they're both first-line players, but
I agree. I don't think we have a spot for a prospect. But you know what? If you really think back and you look at the history of not just the Flames, but in the National Hockey League, most prospects get their chance in injury situations.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the taxi squad thing for these young guys this year is either they're going to not be playing until there's an injury, so they're not going to be playing most of the year, or they're going to be in the AHL all year, which is fine. But, Godden and Ruzicka have both played a lot in the AHL. And it's fine if they're playing there, but I don't want them to be in the taxi squad not playing.
No, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you feel. I don't think Ruzicka has a fighting chance. I mean, we're going to have to be in her bag, I think, for him to crack a spot. My gut tells me Glenn Godden gets time this year. But then, you got the balancing act of who do you put on the taxi squad, and do you want a player not playing and being on the taxi squad? And I agree with you. That's going to be a real interesting storyline to see how that plays out and what teams decide to do. But with a lot of leagues not even playing, I don't know that maybe having them on the taxi squad and learning the NHL lifestyle is maybe a smart thing too. So I don't know. I guess on that.
Do the taxi squads actually travel with the team, or are they just staying in Calgary and joining the team when there's an injury?
They can travel. In most cases, what I'm hearing is that they won't travel. Maybe 1 or 2 of them will travel.
All right. Either way, getting those reps with the NHL depth that we do have in practice would be good for those guys, but not playing games wouldn't be good for those guys.
I think we're going to see. I agree with you. I almost wish they go to the AHL because I think we're going to see guys like Buddy Robinson, Zach Rinaldo, Stone. I think we're going to see all those guys on our taxi squad, and I think those are the guys that should be in the taxi squad.
Yeah, guys who are used to kind of being scratch and not playing every game, and can handle that, and then step in and be okay with that.
Yep, and plus when they do step in, are quality players that aren't going to hurt you.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick too, scared about Johnny leaving with no return. This is shit or get off the pot year for Johnny Gaudreau. Like, we either have to move him or sign him. And my question to Flames fans is, Johnny's going to want a raise. He hasn't, in my mind, justified his salary he's getting now. How can we look at our Flames fans and say, we're going to ink him for another $1 million more? Yeah. See, I think he's worth about what he makes now. I don't think he's worth a raise. But he's going to want one.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want a raise? Right? I want a raise. You want a raise?
I think he should have been dealt last summer.
I agree.
And quite honestly, right now, his return's not going to be high. And you know what? I'm okay with that because getting that cap space might be the best return.
I agree.
But it'll be interesting. I'm really, really interested to see how that plays out because
Definitely kind of a side story to this
it
year.
is. It is. It's going to be interesting. What excites you the most about this season?
Our depth and options, Valimaki, and having two goalies that can both steal a game. I mean, not many teams can say they have two goalies that can steal a game. A lot of teams can say they have two goalies who can win a game or can, play well, but not a lot of teams can say that if they're playing badly, they have two goalies that can steal a game for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like our goaltending. I am so excited to see use of Valimaki this year. I'm trying to tone myself down on that because I think my hopes might be too high now. Yeah, because I'm just so excited. But I'm first off just happy to have hockey back. But second off, you know what I like this year about the season is I'm looking and watching all the the talk of getting ready for a season, and I don't hear much talk at all of people considering the Flames as even a threat at all. And I kind of giggle and kind of like that. I think people are sleeping on the Flames. I'm not predicting a Stanley Cup for the Flames, but I think this is a good hockey team. And I feel like this is a stepping stone year now. I don't know how deep that run means, or I don't know what I'm predicting right there, but I think Calgary's going to take second in the North. And I think that I feel pretty damn confident going into this season. I do.
I do too. I don't think we're missing the playoffs. I think any team that doesn't take us seriously is going to be sorry. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
I think there's lots to be excited about in Calgary. I do. I am being Mr. Positive on this. Is there things that scare me? Yeah, I could give you a list. But
so, I was going to ask you that actually, because you said, you asked me what scares me. So, what scares you the most?
It scares the hell out of me if Monahan and Gaudreau's production levels are not good again. If we have 2 years in a row where their production levels are mediocre.
Faltering and not first line material.
I never have thought Monahan's a first line center. I think we've had him in the wrong spot all along. I think he's a second line center. But I feel like we're going to use him a little bit differently this year and put him in a little bit more offensive situations, which is going to be a good thing for him. But another thing that I haven't brought up on any other shows that kind of scares me a little bit heading into this season.
What's up?
I kind of got aggravated with Jeff Ward and his freaking line switching every single night. We keep hearing in hockey, well, we need this line to gel. We need this line to gel. Well,
they can't if they're not playing together.
You gotta let them play together for a while. So I kind of got a little pissy about that last year when, he would start juggling lines, with 8 minutes to go in the first. And I'm like, we're down by a goal. And
we've seen that for years. I call that the Galutzin, however you say his name, because that's all he ever did. The only thing that he ever kept together was Brody and Hamonic, and that was a giant mistake.
So other things that scare me. What scares me the most is a slow start.
Yeah, a slow start means no playoffs.
Yeah, it does, because if you get behind the 8 ball, there's not a lot of time to catch up. So that scares me. Injuries scare me in a shortened season like this. If you're, one game is, or, games mean more. Every game means more. So I worry about injuries. But you know what? All in all, I'm pretty positive heading into this season. I'm actually more positive this year than I was last year. And last year we're coming off winning the Western Conference in the regular season. But I kept telling myself last year, everybody had career years. We can't replicate that.
Yeah, so, and the other thing is Calgary. I mean, the core that we have, they kind of when they do really well for a little while, they get very complacent. So maybe that collapse against Dallas will help. But
I think I counted 8 new faces on the roster too. If you look at it, Simone,
Nordstrom,
I'm looking
Markstrom,
Levo, Tanev, and then Markstrom, or maybe it's 6 on the 6 new faces, in the starting lineups, and that's a lot. Yeah, Nestor, that's another one. So
he's a guy to watch too. He really is, because he had a lot of promise, and I saw an interview. His English is still pretty rough, but he said that the reason he went back was so he could learn English, and then come back to North America. At least that's what I got from it. But he had a lot of promise, and he could crack the lineup. He could. Who knows?
Our 6th man right now.
You have him at 6 instead of Shillington, eh?
Mm-hmm. Right now.
Yeah.
Shillington's not even in camp right now because we're waiting on his paperwork to clear. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think it's a make it or break it year for Shillington.
Me too.
We'll see. But I have good vibes going into this season. I'm excited.
Me too. I'm very excited.
I loved your predictions. I loved your input on the show. I appreciate you coming on. We'll have you on again later on after the season gets going again. I thank you very much, and enjoy the season.
Inside
Edge hockey news, dropping the gloves and stirring the pot.
All right, Flames fans, time for a little bit of Flames news, and we'll kind of roll on through this. Flames signed defenseman Michael Stone to a PTO. That's a familiar story, as we a buyout last year, signed Stone to a contract after a buyout, after the injury to Valimaki. This year we don't have him under contract, don't sign him as a UFA. Then we sign him to a PTO now. You know what? A lot of people think this is crazy. A lot of people don't like it. I like it. I think it's smart. I think it's a safety measure. I don't believe you can have too many defensemen on your roster / taxi squad this year. You're going to need them. Michael Stone, mark my word, Michael Stone will play a role in this team this year. And you know what the nice thing about it is? Michael Stone can sit on the practice squad. And Michael Stone can come into a game and not skip a beat. People rip on him, and you know what? How many times last year did you say, oh my, he was horrible tonight? Not many. People forget that what a part he played in this team 3 years ago when he came over from Arizona. No, he's not flashy. He's a stay-at-home defenseman who had a hell of a hard shot. But this guy is definitely a stopgap and a guy that will help this team this year. He's a safety measure for the taxi squad. It's a good PTO signing. Flames signed Connor Zary to a 3-year entry-level contract, $925,000. The rookie max for Connor. Just got done with the World Juniors. It is reported that he received a Schedule A performance bonus for the signing, which isn't something many picks in the 20s tend to get on entry-level contracts, according to Ryan Pike. And I know the Flames are high in the sky. Obviously, they would not have made the moves in the draft that they did to really target this guy. I thought he had an okay World Juniors. I don't think he was wonderful, but I don't think he was bad. But he's young. I mean, he's about what we expected on a team as stout and as deep as Canada was. Training camp is open. It opened officially on Sunday, and on Monday we saw the Flames take the ice. 26 forwards, 13 defensemen, 6 goalies. There is a limit of 36. 3 will be leaving now that Wolf and Zary and Peltier will be arriving from the World Juniors. I'm not sure if they get there. Probably tomorrow, I would say. And then some guys will be moved out. Shillington's still not there. He's still waiting for papers to clear. Some surprises not in camp. Martin Prospel and Parsons. I'm surprised Parsons isn't there. Tyler Parsons not there. But there's probably good reasons. One of them we know, Slovakian national team released that Martin Prospel tested positive for COVID-19. So obviously that's the reason he's not there. As for Tyler Parsons, I haven't heard any outlook on why he's not there. With 6 goalies, though, I mean, how many more goalies can you bring? They got Sparks on a PTO. They got, of course, Markstrom and Deming in there, Zagdulin, Wolf, Riddick. They're all there. So I like our goaltending group that is there. It also looks at, as Brad Treliving has hinted all week, that Brett Ritchie will be also signing a PTO. That according to Pat Steinberg. He'll be coming in on a PTO also. And I don't know that you can have enough veterans on PTO sitting on that taxi squad. I don't know if, in my mind, if it's a place for a young prospect to marinate and not play. I think those young kids need to advance and get ice time, and I don't think sitting on the practice squad is probably the best spot. We'll see how that all plays out, because that is going to be an interesting story as the weeks progress here, and we move to just over a week from official puck drop on the season. There is going to be 2 inter-squad mock games that will take place during camp. One will be tomorrow, January 7th, and one will be the 11th. How they were going to do it is like they did during the bubble. They're going to have a game day, morning skate, prep just like a game day, and then have a game at night, and try to make it as realistic as we can to a preseason game. It's different. You can't replicate a game when you're playing against your own team, but the Flames are going to do the best that they can. Moving on to news from in the division, as we call it now, news from the North, because we're in the North Division. I had the name in the division. Now it's changed because it's news from the North. So I like it. Vancouver signs former Flames defenseman Travis Hamonic to a PTO. Looks like $1.5 million contract 1 year is in the top desk drawer, waiting for him to sign once Furland heads to long-term IR. We'll see what happens there. BC and Alberta have officially approved NHL games and have made an exception on quarantining NHL players when heading to camp. All that is good news if you are a Canadian hockey fan. Signings in the division: Edmonton did sign Ethan Bear to a 2-year, $2 million per year contract, and Ottawa inks Ridley Gregg to a $925,000 entry-level contract. That's about it from the news from the North, as we move on to our listener question. And this one comes from Philip Silver, Medicine Hat, Alberta. And you know what? He hit me in a tough spot here. I had to pick this question just because, he hit me in a tough spot. This is a tough question to answer, but I'll give it my best shot. What Flames player do you think is under the most pressure this year? It was actually pretty easy for me to answer, and I think it's Johnny Gaudreau. I think people were so frustrated with his performance. Me, probably at the top of the list, along with some of my other Flames buddies. But at his performance in the playoffs last year, it was frustrating to say the least. And I don't know. I don't know. I think the most pressure is on him. He's heading into a contract year. What are we going to do with him? Are we going to make a move? Are we not going to make a move? Are we going to re-sign this guy? How much is it going to cost? What kind of production do we get from this year? And is his playoff production going to be better than it has been in the last 2 years? Lots of questions to answer with Johnny Gaudreau. He puts me at the top of the list for the player with the most pressure. Every year I listen to Fan 960, and I always listen to the post-game show, and I'm going to be calling in on that show this year because, I really like Pat Steinberg. I have a lot of respect for what he does. How he handles the callers is flat out amazing. He's so good. Fan 960 is my favorite thing to listen to all day. I listen to it while I work, and some good guys there. But every year there seems to be a whipping boy, not necessarily from the hosts, but from the guests every year. Sam Bennett's been on that whipping boy. Noah Hannafin has been there. TJ Brody was a staple on there. There's always somebody. This year, to me, who's going to be the whipping boy? Why do I feel like Derek Ryan's going to get brought up when he shouldn't, but he will? Good old Sam Bennett, if he doesn't come back as playoff Sam Bennett, will get raked through the coals because he is a prime target on the radio show. And I worry this year that Mark Giordano doesn't fall into bad graces amongst fans because the expectations are probably higher than what you can get from somebody that age that's putting in that many minutes, in top-end minutes every single night. We'll be interested to see. I still vote that Johnny Gaudreau has the most pressure on him to perform this year. Another thing on the show I'd like to thank is our sponsors. We have some great sponsors. HOTMIC is our biggest sponsor, and this year you're going to get to see a lot with HOTMIC, and we'll talk about that here a few minutes in the show. Other sponsors that we have, please go on to flamesunfiltered.com. There's a list of sponsors. You can click on them, get some special deals, get some discounts. We recommend that you do that. Check out our sponsors are Hydrate Spark, KT Tape, Riders Eyewear, ShopNHL.com, AccuScore, and Inside Edge Hockey News. We thank all of our sponsors. We could not do this show without them.
Get all your Flames Unfiltered podcasts, team news, team updates, and highlights at flamesunfiltered.com.
It's getting close. The second game of the year against the Vancouver Canucks on the 16th, I believe it's a Saturday evening, is going to be our first Hot Mic. What we're going to do is we're going to have a Hot Mic game of the week here on Flames Unfiltered. And what it's going to be is a watch party where you can watch a Flames game with me and guests that we have on. And we're going to be able to talk about the good, talk about the bad, talk about the goals, talk about just about everything that has anything to do with the game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. We want everybody taking part in this because it is going to be a blast. First one, the Vancouver game, January 16th, should be a good night. We'll have some prizes to give away that night because when you get a group of guys together watching hockey, having a few beverages, cheering on the home team Flames, you got to have a few prizes to give away. So we'll have a few giveaways that night, and it's going to be fun. We're going to do it once a week throughout the season. And we thank Hot Mic for the sponsorship. The second game is going to be the 26th, Toronto at Calgary. Great fan interaction. And we'll have further details this week on how to log in, how to do this. It's free. There is no charge. And we'll break news on guests coming on and joining it. And it's going to be a lot of fun this year. Next week, we're back. We will be recording on Wednesday night, the first night of the National Hockey League season. We'll discuss that opening round night game that are going on in the league, and then we'll preview the opening battle against the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg. We'll discuss line combinations, what I think the line combination should be, tons of Flame news that happens between now and next week, and then we will get ready to sit back next Thursday night and watch a regular season Flames game. It is going to be so fun. I cannot wait. It seems like it's been 5 years since we watched a game, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited. Lots of good things happening with this team this year. I think people are writing off the Flames, man. They're not thinking about us as we're going to be contenders, and I think we are. I think this is a good hockey team, and it's going to be fun to watch. Thanks for listening. Hop on to Apple iTunes, rate and review us. Subscribe on YouTube now that we're on video. Make sure you check back next week as we drop another episode right as the season starts. It's Flames Hockey. It comes next week. Thanks for joining us.
Get connected. Flames Unfiltered can be found on Twitter at Flame Unfiltered. And also make sure you check out our Facebook page at Flames Unfiltered. Check out host Brad Burud on Twitter at Brad Burud. And if you like what you hear, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. You can find Flames Unfiltered on all the major podcast players. And consider subscribing to Inside Edge Hockey News on Patreon. That'll get you exclusive content and much more. Thanks again and enjoy the hockey action.
Play on! Yeah, baby! Play on! Yeah, baby!
Thanks for tuning in to Flames Unfiltered. Check back for more action-packed Calgary Flames talk. This has been a production of Inside Edge Hockey News Radio, copyrighted and distributed by the Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.